welcome to another episode of Nordic By Nature. Today I'm joined by Ann from DreamPlan. So tell us a little bit about DreamPlan.
So DreamPlan is essentially a platform that can provide digital, holistic financial advice for retail customers. It was founded 5 years ago by Simon and Stine. They're both industry veterans with a background from digitalizing banking products and processes. And they saw a need in the market the big vision is to democratize finance. That's a big word, right? But it is to bring digital advice to regular people and help people understand their finances, because let's be honest, not many people do, regular people. So they built this amazing platform where you instantly go into dreamplan.io, you input your data, what you make, if you own a house, a car, all of that, where you have your pensions. And then on the basis of that, we provide digital financial advice. So we have a license from the Danish FSA to actually provide independent financial advice to people. So it's pretty sound what we say, but essentially you'll get a recommendation that says, given these factors, you could grow your personal wealth by this amount if you do these three things. And it could be you add your pension contributions, you do something with your mortgage, and you do this thing with investment. So that is what we do today.
I love that, and you mentioned you also have a regulatory license, because of course to give financial advice you need to have the license to do so. So excellent starting point, and I feel like it's one thing when you go to your bank, you will get service for your mortgage, for example, specifically for that. But then they necessarily won't look at your overall picture of what other financial services you could do, which
exactly, and I think that there's definitely a gap in the market. So unless you are a very wealthy individual, or in banking terms, a private banking customer, you won't get that level of holistic wealth advice across all of your asset classes. That's a big problem in the advice or the service that people are actually getting, is that, as you say, you'll go down, you want to buy a house, you get advice around the mortgage you should. But nobody's looking at your pension schemes or your rainy day accounts or how you set yourself up for financial success long term. And we see that, especially in Denmark, there's a problem with people paying off their mortgages too fast, which means that by the end of their work lives, when they stop earning money, they have a lot of saved up value in the house, but they can't take it out anymore. So they're a little bit cash strapped. And at the same time, at the beginning of your work life, you typically see that people will save up too little for their pensions because, hey, that's for old people. But, compounding effects means that if you do set aside money from the beginning of your career, sufficient money, you will be much better off, because they will have 30, 40 years to grow instead of just starting halfway through your career and setting aside real money. So that you will miss out on that compounding effect.
Exactly. It's super interesting, and you mentioned democratizing finance, and I think the aspect of making this digital, you don't have to come in and meet your bank person and do these things. You could effectively get help, get support online through your app. So it's really available for anyone in exactly the way that they would like to get that service.
Yes, and it's also, if you look at the number of financial advisors out there in Europe, they're steeply declining. People are much more moving to a digital way of banking. And I feel like the Nordic banks have done really well in digitalizing everything that has to do with your transactions. So you would never think to bring money, like actual physical old school money, or do any type of transactional banking in a non-digital fashion. But if you want a mortgage, you have, and I haven't seen this yet, and I would love to be corrected if somebody says that, oh, we've done this, but I haven't seen anybody who's been able to do this in a purely digital fashion, where you haven't had to pass through a financial advisor's hands at some point in that process. You might have a digital meeting with them, it might be online and all of that, but it requires actual people's hands to actually set up a mortgage or an investment account.
And taking a step back, so DreamPlan, it's a relatively new fintech. But you're not new to fintech companies yourself. Tell me a little bit about your journey to how you ended up here.
Yes, I was thinking a little bit about this question as I was driving here, and it's interesting. It took me a while to own the fact that I was a senior hire, but somebody called me a fintech veteran the other day because prior to joining DreamPlan, I worked as head of our financial services partnerships at Pleo, where I met the lovely Enfuce. Prior to that, I joined Lunar as employee number 80 something, just before we had our banking license, and I was part of launching Lunar Bank in Denmark. Prior to that, I've been in Danske Bank and Royal Bank of Canada, and very briefly at Nordea as well. So I've been at the incumbent banks, and this is my third fintech, and hopefully also my third unicorn.
That's quite the track record.
No pressure on DreamPlan.
Yeah. No. I'm sure it'll be amazing. But I like that you've seen both the incumbents, the way they operate, and then you've actually seen fintech companies really take it to the next level of their growth.
Yeah.
So if we look at DreamPlan and the way you want to empower people's finances, why do you think this mission is important? I know you touched base on it a little bit already, but
I think financial literacy has always been a heart child of mine. You'd say that in Danish, or at least French, you say hjertebarn, but a heart child of mine, because I feel financial literacy and understanding your personal finances is so important to empowering you to live the life that you'd want to live. And so few people actually do understand their personal finances or even care about it. And I've been in this industry for 10 plus years, and I don't understand all of my personal finances yet, and I work in this space. So how do regular people have a fighting chance? Just the understanding of money as more than the money you make. So at DreamPlan, we will talk about your short money and your long money. So it's into your transactional money, your salary, everything that gets paid into your account on a monthly basis, and then your long money, which is your assets, your mortgage, your investments, your pensions, all of that will set you up for success long term. And then the very big difference is that the short money you work for those, and the long money works for you. But there's a lot of people who do not have that understanding, which then means that they're missing out on empowering a number of their dreams, right? Because having worked at any bank, they'll tell you people don't dream about a mortgage; they dream about a house and a life in that house. So I think that's why it's important to me to help empower people.
It's such an important mission, and I really like the way you put it. It's all about. Many people think about only the short term, but how can you actually be empowered, basically told, and have an actionable plan of thinking about the future as well.
Exactly. And then have somebody help you do it, because that's also what we're working towards. So based on this financial advice, we would very much like to be able to help customers execute on it.
Yeah.
Because one thing is that you don't care about it, and once we have your attention, we very much like for you to action on it instead of the advice is, you should reach out to your pension scheme or your mortgage provider and these things. The dream is that based on the advice that we'll give is click here and we'll do it for you.
Making it really simple.
Exactly.
So lastly, thinking about your role, how important are partnerships to your growth and innovation overall?
I'm the perfect person to ask about this, because partnerships are everything, right? I have to say that I'm the head of partnerships, right? But I think we're not blind to the fact that we can't do everything ourselves, and we cannot be the best at everything. So my personal mission in this new role is we should just become the best at partnerships. Whether that's a big or small partnerships, and I'd love to partner with other fintechs, especially there's a lot of talent, and we are a powerful small region, but we are a small region in the Nordics. And I think it's almost naive to think that a Danish or a Finnish company can do everything on their own. And even looking at the incumbent banks, we have a long-standing tradition of partnering. Like, none of the big banks do everything themselves, right? They partnered with each other on infrastructure, payment infrastructure solutions. We even have like almost a cooperative approach to banking platforms in the Nordics, where a number of the smaller and community banks have come together to source digital solutions. Because when you're a bank with, 10,000 customers, it's hard to negotiate with anybody. But if you have 10 banks with 10,000 customers each, all of a sudden you have a negotiation power, and you have that scale benefit. So I think partnerships will be key to growth.
Now and in the future.
Yeah, now and in the future.
Thank you so much, Anne. That was extremely interesting. Thank you for
joining us.
Thank you, Mikis.